Hello and welcome to the first of something I would like to do regularly, and that is a Patreon exclusive Q&A session. So if you don't know already, I have a Patreon campaign over at patreon.com/pughoofgaming, and I just use that as a way of either as a sort of tip jar for me, or just as a way of raising funds in which I can maintain and upgrade the equipment that I use to make videos for you guys. And I have a tier, a $5 tier on my Patreon campaign. And for that, not only do you get the early videos, which you do if you support me on Patreon, not only do you get to have a direct say in the videos that I make and pick what I actually use with the money that you give me, but if you are on that $5 tier, you get the chance to hopefully every month ask me a question on anything you want. Could be game related, could be about me if you really want to know about me. If you don't, to be honest, I'm not that interesting. But hey, if you want to ask a question to me, you can ask it. So once again, if you go on to patreon.com/pughoofgaming, sign up to there, and maybe your question will be read out next month. So let's start off with the questions that I have for this month. So the first question I've got is from Ian A. Chapman, and he asks me, do you usually stick to the comfort zone of your favourite game styles, or will you try different genres and titles that you may not enjoy? I guess that kind of depends, I think. I mean, I guess a few years ago when I had a lot more time, I'd probably experiment with weird games. When I used to work in sort of games media, I'd always be talking to people that were reviewing other games, and obviously make recommendations to me, knowing that the sort of games that I like and don't like. And I think from that, maybe whenever I was given a game to review that was in a genre I wasn't familiar with, that would be a challenge for me. But there were plenty of times where there were games of a different genre that I wasn't used to and that I actually quite enjoyed. And I think I'm trying to sort of, as you play more and more games over the years, you do get tired of playing the same sort of games every now and then, and sometimes it's nice to pick up something that you maybe wouldn't have bought yourself, or maybe something that you've maybe rented, or a particularly good thing is when you have like the Xbox Games with Gold and the PS Plus free games. That's a great way to play games that you wouldn't necessarily have bought in genres you wouldn't bought, and there's very little risk to that. And sometimes it's really nice just to discover something that you didn't think you'd like. I must admit, I've been playing a lot of the Doom multiplayer, the 2016. I'm not really a multiplayer guy, as I probably said in other videos, but I spent a good solid, I think we had 2 double XP weekends, and I spent a considerable amount of that time playing Doom, and I was actually enjoying myself. I'm not amazing, but I was winning matches here and there. I was getting points, and I think that's unusual for me. I've never really I dabbled with Quake back in the 90s, and I was crap at it then. Multiplayer gaming's really stuck with me. There's a few exceptions. Splatoon, as you guys probably know. I think I played a lot of Red Dead Redemption online when that came out. Most of the time, I don't really play online because I sort of prefer the single player experiences, or I like co-op where I'm sort of sitting next to someone that I'm playing with. So yeah, I guess it depends on the game, honestly. It depends how much time I've got. I've got a lot of games to play and not enough time to play them, but I like to try and branch out and try new series, try new things, because I think obviously you don't know what you're going to like until you actually try it. And I think all gamers should maybe go out of their comfort zone to find new things. After a while you do get tired of certain games, and it's nice to sort of just break that mold and just do something completely different. So Tommywon asks me, what games are considered rare in the UK but seem plentiful in the USA and vice versa? That's a tough question. I wouldn't say I'm really the definitive guy to ask that to. There are a couple of things that I sort of know from experience, things that are rare in this country and rare in America. In terms of buying retro games, actual physical games, I tend to order stuff online and import them from the USA or Japan, because in many cases it is actually cheaper for me to import something, even with charges, than it is to actually buy retro games in this country. But a few obvious examples are pretty much most SNES JRPGs did not make it in Europe at all. I mean, we're talking Super Mario RPG, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy games. I missed out on so many of those games until way after the SNES generation, because no one thought they'd do well over here. And I mean, not until Final Fantasy VII did RPGs or JRPGs really do well over here. It's a lot more different now. I mean, there's very rare that games come out in one place and that don't come out in others, apart from a few sort of very specific niche Japanese titles. But in terms of American games come over here, we don't have the issues we used to have, and it's been a hell of a lot better. I'm trying to think of the last time there was a game that came out in America that didn't come out here, especially one that I wanted, and I'm sorry, can't think of anything really. In terms of stuff that went from Europe over to America, similar situation. I mean, I can think of a handful of PAL exclusive games, especially on the SNES. There is a Super FX game called Winter Gold that didn't make it to the USA. Spoiler for when I do that review, I'm going to be doing that as a Super FX review at some point. It's not terribly amazing, but it's okay. There's another FX game called Dirt Racer. Again, spoiler, that game is dog awful, so Americans did not miss out on that one at all. But there's a few games here and there, but honestly, I'm not the authority on sort of knowing that. I sort of came into the sort of import stuff a lot later. I wasn't really into the import scene when I was younger, so again, it's much better now, and it's very easy to just buy games anyway and digitally, and then play them on your system digitally. So that sort of problem's nullified. So second question from Tommywon says, what are some of your other hobbies? Hobbies. So I guess I'm a pretty busy guy these days because I work all day. I like to spend time with my wife as well when I do come home. Obviously, making videos for you guys is probably the biggest hobby I have, to be honest. I started doing this as a hobby. I started doing games writing as a hobby. It came into something that I occasionally sort of do semi-professionally as a freelancer. I do things like Retro Gamer magazine. I've done a few sites every now and then, but that's writing about games has probably been a big hobby of mine. Before I did that, I did a lot of music. I'm not saying I was pretty good. I played guitar a fair bit. Again, not amazing. I was mainly a singer. I used to sing in a few bands, used to do a few open mic gigs here and there. Not the best, but people came to watch, and I think people enjoyed when I did sing. Did a few recordings, a few albums that didn't really go anywhere. The problem with the whole music thing was that I didn't have the sort of time to commit to it that other bandmates did, and I wasn't sort of willing to sort of quit my job and do all sorts of things and take it that seriously. I just wanted something for fun, and for me, if I started taking music as seriously as they were, I'd stop enjoying it, and I just would not enjoy it. So I sort of don't really do that much. I dabble with the guitar every now and then. I do like to pick up Rocksmith on the Xbox and play that every now and then. But again, it's mainly just writing. I love writing. I like obviously watching movies. I'm a big nerd, as you can probably imagine. But it's mainly sort of gaming and just general writing in general, writing about games and doing videos. And I like to learn new skills. I like to learn new things in terms of even making thumbnail designs and branding for this site. Everything's all been done by me, apart from the music that you hear. I just like to learn new things and find how I can make things better and make things more professional. That's sort of my hobby. It's sort of self-improvement in video production. That's pretty much what I do. But thank you very much, Tommy. That was a great question. So Jared from Retro Revolutions asks, if you could interview one person in gaming culture, who would you pick and why? Ooh, no, that's a tricky one. I've met a few people that I've admire in terms of gaming history. I sort of met Hideo Kojima a few years ago at a press event. Didn't get a chance to say too many words to him. I got to meet Hironobu Sakaguchi, the creator of Final Fantasy, at a BAFTA event a few years ago. I got to ask him a question about one of my favourite games, Lost Odyssey. Got a signed poster somewhere, which maybe I'll have to show you guys. Maybe you can give it away at some point. Shook him by the hand and said a few words, although he's Japanese, so it's not like there was too much of a conversation going on there. But I've got a picture of him somewhere. But that was great. But in terms of who I'd interview, I mean, yeah, you could go for the obvious people like the Shigeru Miyamotos of this world. Who would I interview? I guess I'd want to interview someone like Koji Kondo, a guy at Nintendo who's done a hell of a lot of music for them over the years. He's done most of Nintendo's most recognisable themes over the past 30 years, from Zelda to Mario. You know, such an incredible person to sort of see him go from use the very limited sort of soundtracks from the NES and, you know, the Game Boy and things like that, going forward to today where we sort of basically using orchestras to make music. I'd definitely like to ask somebody who's been through that sort of change, just to see how, you know, how this has affected their musical sort of process as such. But yeah, someone like that, I think that'd be very, very interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's probably about 1 billion people at Nintendo that I'd really love to interview, to be honest. I would definitely love to interview anybody involved with the SNES PlayStation, because that is a fascinating story that I really would just love to speak to somebody and get the full story behind, but that's probably never going to happen. That is all the questions I've got for this week. Thank you to Ian, Tommywon and Jared from Retro Revolutions for asking me these questions. Hopefully you guys will give me some more questions for next month. If you want to ask me a question for the next month, please go on to patreon.com/pughoofgaming, sign up to the $5 Hoof Troop VIP tier, and who knows, I could be answering your question next month. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you around for some more gaming greatness. Goodbye. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this and want more, you can click this icon to subscribe, this icon to support me financially via Patreon, or these icons to watch more videos from my channel. Why not take a few seconds to answer the question of the week in the comments, or just let me know what you thought of this video. See you next week.